Okay, welcome, everybody. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Good to see a lot of you here. Welcome.
you.
And I appreciate you being here to support me with this endeavor and support our school and our kids. I just was going to point up to the screen and let you know that basically what we're going to be doing today is what this teacher is struggling with. We're going to learn a little bit more about how to work with kids who aren't understanding exactly what this teacher is doing, or what she's saying. And I know, does this resonate with any of you when you're standing in front of your students?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So today I've handed you a KWL, and the question I'm going to ask for you to write at the top is going to be an essential question, and it is, what do you know about your English language learners and their needs? And the KWL, are you familiar with the KWL?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. So what does the K stand for?
What I know.
Okay, so in that section right now, you can just take a minute to make a quick list.
Okay, wait.
Can you
tell
repeat
me
the question?
One more time. Yeah.
What do you know about your English language learners, and what do you know about their needs?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, in a DLI class, we're still talking about English language learners.
That's a great question. So I am looking at our Spanish language learners as English language learners with the same needs. Yeah, good question. I didn't say that. And now that I've given you like 20 minutes to do that, I'm going to have you go ahead and share back, maybe just each one of you or a couple of you, a response to that essential question.
I wrote that I know that they need scaffolding and pictures and acting out and all different things to make it comprehensible, whatever I'm trying to teach.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I was thinking a lot of times their oral language is okay, and so you think that they're understanding everything that you say like everybody else, but they're not always able to take that all in.
Okay.
I noticed that my kids need a lot of repetition and they need a lot of wait time if if I'm explaining something or asking a question, they need a little additional time to think about it before they respond.
Okay. The middle column is what do you want to know more about? And I know we talked previously before we started the video, but it's not necessary for you to answer back what I told you about already. I just really want to know what you think you want to know more about when working with your English language learners. So I do have data in my presentation, and it's something I really would love to share with the staff. I'm not going to do it today because it takes a long time, but if any of you want copies of the data, it can come off of Illuminate,
Okay.
or you can get it from our reading specialist. But the data more or less is showing that our second language learners from K6 are struggling with in the areas of reading comprehension and reading fluency. And I'm curious on what you want to know more about to help your English language learners, what you listed, so we can see if that correlates a little bit with what the needs are.
One of the things that I said was materials that work best for them,
Mm-hmm.
and then also a way to assess because I feel like we do these EL strategies, these ELD strategies, and then we do them, but we're not sure if they're working. Maybe even for years, I feel like we're not getting accurate data on them. And I don't know how to do that. I don't know.
I wrote the same thing, a little different. I want strategies to encourage more oral language, and then ways to measure their oral language development. Like with this kids who are learning Spanish in my class, I get excited when they use more and more Spanish, but they still, it's really hard. One of the hardest things being in DLI is speaking Spanish to people who are speaking English to me all the time. It feels like a disconnect with parents sometimes, but mostly I'm talking about with students, of course.
I want to know, like, what can I do to speed up their comprehension? Like, is it just time? Does it just take time? Is it just time and exposure? Or is there, like, what can I be doing to help them understand things faster? Or is it just the wait time and the years of experience and being exposed to that language that's just part of the picture? Is there's nothing I can be doing differently? I don't know. If there is, that's what I would like to know. But if it's just time, then it's just time.
So I think I want to clarify that you both were talking about wanting measurement, so as in regards to assessments. You talked about needing clarification on where they are. Are you talking through assessments?
I just wanted to know, I can assess them on their reading and their comprehension. I can do a DRA or a benchmark assessment, and they're usually, lower than the other kids who came in with the language already. But I don't know if I'm always sure why that is. Is it just like Stacy said, they're just not understanding and they need more time? Is there something else that I can do? Like, how do I measure that what I'm doing is actually resonating with them and making them more proficient than where they were in the beginning?
And I guess mine was different. Mine was more just oral language, using oral language, like keeping them in the target language, and then also encouraging like longer sentences or more using vocabulary that they've learned.
Okay, kind of like what Stacy was saying too, like how are the strategies for that? Okay. Well, I have a very helpful article that we're going to take about just 5 minutes to read, and I'm going to have you go to the fluency section, which I already have marked for you, and then I would love you to highlight or mark off some key phrases, maybe complete 1 or 2 complete sentences that might answer some questions or are some ahas for you regarding what we were just talking about with fluency and comprehension. So right here is the fluency section. It's really short. You can go on to vocabulary. I know that you just talked about that a little bit, Stacy, but the comprehension is on the other side. So let's just stick with the comprehension and fluency section. And so you met in groups and kind of discussed a little bit, highlighting together in your small groups how to, or what were some big ideas for you. I'm going to just show you some samples of some mind maps that would also be good for ELs to use, or with your whole class actually, that you might be interested in. And this is just one you've probably seen before, where it's just a simple circle. And today I'm just going to ask you if maybe you could turn over like this sheet of paper and take a look at these mind maps for a minute and see if while you're taking, you could use these, to take notes on what we're going to be sharing out today. So you might want to put English language learners or new strategies for English language learners. Some of these mind maps aren't going to pertain to what we're talking about today or wouldn't lend itself to organize your thoughts. And maybe none of them will. So, if you just want to go ahead and find a place to take notes. But you might want to try these out with your kids. I know some of these you've seen before. I know Erica did a big thing on mind maps before, so I don't know. Some are listed, different types. Yeah. Don't feel like you have to do that, but I'm just seeing if you'd like to do that.
So you want us to use this circle to take
if you
notes?
want to. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can choose another one that might better suit your needs.
Okay.
Or maybe you're a list
Because I've
maker.
never seen anybody use this one.
I like the bubble mat.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. That one's more popular.
Yeah.
But this, I like this one too. For maybe, I guess it's just because I've been doing a lot of how-tos, and I could see being able to draw inside of those and use vocabulary too. But anyway, back to our discussion. What was some new learning for you today? And maybe we just combine fluency and comprehension, because as we saw in the article, they go together.
Well, one thing that I read that really resonated with me, that clearly I know this, but somehow when you read it or get a training in it, it kind of brings it back and it brings it to the front of your mind, was just how difficult it is for ELs to listen to what you're saying and not have enough vocabulary to comprehend it. Which, I mean, that's so duh, but you kind of forget as you go through the year. Like, I'm just thinking about the things that I did at the beginning of the year. I was doing so much of it because I had just had that training, that EL training, and already I feel like it's dropping off a little bit. And I'm thinking about, I need to start doing more of that again. It's like you need constant reminders to do that when you're not used to doing it all the time.
Yeah.
It just needs to be something that you do all the time. And then the repeated readings of text doesn't help with fluency, which seems like it would
If they don't
understand
the
what
vocabulary,
that sentence is. And so how you just need to play with every single part of that sentence so that comprehension is there.
And how do you think you could check for understanding while you're doing that with kids? Because I think that's tricky too.
Yeah.
How do you know what to dive into if you don't know what they don't know?
Right. That is
Well,
tricky.
It's interesting because I just sent home this week for the first time fluency homework and it was that, I think it's Angelica Sandoval, Fifi, and then there's like some words and then a sentence and then like a little passage, and I was thinking they're not very meaningful. Whereas like a paragraph about the pollitos would be much more meaningful and probably more understandable because it's in context of what we're learning. But it's hard to develop things.
That's why I don't like those Bob books, because they don't make any sense to even an English speaker.
Right.
And parents come to me all the time and say, well, I'm working on the Bob books. And I'm like, that's great. But I would rather take like a level A or B reader and read it over and over and over with them and talk about things and, do the pictures. And I like how it said to read texts that they are familiar with, and so you can read them repeatedly as long as they're at their level and that they understand. And then I like how it also said that it will help if they read along with the teacher or read chorally with the group or with another friend, so that they don't feel self-conscious about
Their
accents or
making
whatever.
That was
mistakes.
excellent.
Yeah.
A big aha for me too.
Yeah. But I do that a lot, so that tells me I'm doing some things that are beneficial for them.
Well, I feel like I've kind of done a lot of the what we were just talking about with the fluency pages. And I think what's not okay is a lot of the fluency pages in Spanish have repetition, but the words aren't always culturally relevant to the kids.
Yes.
And sometimes they're fake, like they make them just to rhyme.
Oh, yeah.
So that the kids are building fluency. And what I realized from the article was that that's not building any comprehension. It's almost a waste of time because they're not really getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, well, why? I'm teaching reading for understanding, not decoding. And that's kind of like the Bob books. Like,
But it makes me wonder, like, if there's a place for that, because I feel like kids come to understand all the parts of reading in different ways, and with like, I've had some kids who use a Bob book or this Fifi stuff, and I feel like it helps. Maybe it's just false.
I feel like it might
It
help
helps
at
with
a
decoding.
certain point.
It helps
Like
with decoding.
Those Bob books are great when you get to the vowels and you really want the kids to notice the difference between an I and an A. But for like the whole reading and definitely for
It's just a
comprehension,
piece of it.